I Ching.
Yeah.
They call me 师傅, 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 师傅. But it's a Calvin Chen, yeah. Calvin Chen, yeah. 广东话我就是。
还是国语。
你个国语呀？
也可以，快了。
一点点。But actually, I speak 台山话。
哦，台山话。
Yeah.
说师傅就好了。
师傅还是。
师傅 is 国语，舒服係台山話。
哦，师傅。
Yeah. But you speak 台。
No, we speak
Mandarin.
Taiwanese and Mandarin.
Yeah, Mandarin. Yeah.
Taiwanese and
You live nearby? 你自 Yeah. Okay. 是说这个。Okay, so we'll start and you can join in too. Okay. All right. So we'll bow in and then you can work with them later. Okay. They can join and then you can stand near the front and because it's so small today. We'll see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. You think we should do social distancing or what? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. Left. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, one more. Hands up. Reach down, stretch. 1, 2, 3. To your right. Left. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Press down. Okay, hands on your waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Cross. Hold your knees. Circular movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Switch. Other side. Other way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Okay, turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, Steve. 10. 1 and 2. Center. Okay, tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and 2. Center. Down. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3. Reverse, other direction. 1, 2, and 3. Center. Hands up. Pull in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Breathe through the nose. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. So we're going to stretch out a bit. Just take your time and do the best you can. Okay. So we're going to go forward like this. Stretch. Somebody, you can help them a little bit. Don't overdo it. Switch. 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 Okay, switch. Okay, we straighten the front knee. And stretch back of here, back of the leg. Okay, switch, other direction, other side. Switch. Switch. Okay, center. And spread the feet a little, or as much as you can. Okay, we'll squat down on one side. Okay, switch. 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 Okay, shake it out. Okay, pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, up on your toes, and down. Okay, hands here. Shoulder roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and stop. Okay, press, release, exhale, inhale. Breathe through your nose. And stop, hands up. Okay, deep breathing again. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, wrist, circular movements. Okay, reverse. Okay, center. Palms down. Bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Two more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, we shake it out. Ready? Side to side. Okay, here, up. And left. Okay, right down, left hand down. So we're going to go like this, up and down. Insert needle. And switch. Other side. So we have this foot down, this hand down, opposite side, up and down. So this side connects to this leg, like this. Send this hand up and down. And center. Okay, shake it out. Then the hands like this. Okay, now bring the right foot in. Okay, so now switch. Okay, Sana, go this way. Hey, Joe. Yeah, just join in. Okay, switch. And they're going to cross like this. Okay, shake it out. Hands up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands like this. Step out. Forward and back, silk grilling. Switch. So left hand goes forward and back, forward and back. Then the right hand comes over the top and then back and forth. Okay, center, cross, right foot forward, open, close. Okay, most of the weight, this is light in the front. Switch. Okay, center. Circular movements. Okay, lower hoop, rounding out. Okay, clear your thoughts, relax. Okay, shoulder height. Elbows down. Okay, lower, palms down, lift up, straighten up. Extend, fingertips point down. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands like this. Step out, diagonal flying. Switch, other side. Okay, sit back. So sit back on this leg and push forward. Okay, next, palms down, feet shoulder width, cloud hands. and center. Okay, lift up, carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, infinity sign. Form the fists. Okay, palms together. Strum the lute. And center. Turn, draw the bow. Just to the side. Okay, next. Horse stance, flan to the back. Scoop down. Okay, let's raise the hand, feet parallel, shoulder width. And center. Okay, palms down. Deep breathing. Palms up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, good. Shake it out. So we're going to go through the form, but actually mine are going to work with you on some fundamental basics and maybe work on the form. You can go in the other room. Yeah. Ethan, yeah. Okay, so we're going to go over the short form. Feet parallel. Ready? Preparation. Single whip. Hold the ball. Shift your weight. Step up. Press forward. Raise the hand. Bend from the waist. Stalk, flaps, wings. Turn. Brush knee. Move to the other side, left side. Brush knee and push. Back to the right side. Center position, Skumdalut. Form the fist. Divert, lock, and punch. Cross the arms. Leopard and tiger springs the mountain. Neutral position. Turn. Fist under elbow. Repulse the monkey. Third, repulse the monkey. Then we go to neutral position, right side. Hold the ball. Turn out, step up. Diagonal flying. Sit back. Insert the needle. Fan to the back. Stroke down. Parry and punch. Step up, form the fist. Divert, block and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Bring the hands down. Carry tiger to the mountain. Square the feet, cross the arms, raise the left hand, bend from the waist, stalk, flaps, wings. Left side grasp the sparrow's tail. left side single whip. Flip it over, diagonal flying. Sit back, part the horse's mane. Step up. Part the horse's mane. Cross corner. Jade lady work shuttle. Cross corner. Drop the elbow, hook your wrist back to the front. Cloud hands. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So any questions, anyone? No? Pretty good with that sequence. Nancy? Any section that you wanted to go over? Any grouping of postures? Any grouping of postures or transitions going from, yeah. Most, things that happen in short form will happen in the long form in many ways, except for the left side movements. So.
I mean, I can see you doing it, and my brain is not quite getting it just doesn't compute, but I'm getting there.
You mean the left side movements?
Yeah, the left side.
Yeah.
Short form,
10 more times? What? 3 times in a row. Then we're in the long form. Well, the reason why the left side is a little bit more difficult is because when you're first learning, it's all right-sided movements. So the long form actually doesn't have a lot of left side movements. The ones that are dual positions are brush knee, jade lady work shuttle, part the horse's mane. Those are pretty consistently working those two sides. So, but when it comes to even grasp the sparrow's tail in the long form, you're not doing the left side. Not in the long form, yeah. So that's why, yeah. That's why when we do a drill like this and grasp the sparrow's tail, it actually helps to program that into the other side. So, that's just getting you to respond when you switch the hands. Okay, then you do the grasp the sparrow's tail. But a simple transition like this where you're moving your feet and then the opposite side. So you have really a phasing in and a sequence of events. So, does everyone understand kind of what I mean by phasing of events? Because we're moving in space, it's like clockwork, right? So on one side, something happens here, something happens here. So in order for me, just if we were to look at the hands of say your hands are the hands of a clock, and my feet are the same, and you have, say, 2 clocks side by side, and it's ticking along, it's kind of going into a certain phase. So when I'm here and I'm turning like this, if you look at the hands as if they're hands of a clock, and then I move my feet, just this starts to build a relationship. So you see, if we're standing and looking at the mirror, when I turn, you see how the feet and the hands are moving. Then when it gets to here, I'm on my right side. Then when I go back, so there's really an exchange between the front hand and the back hand, creating the new position. So that phasing of motion, that's going 180 degrees, but that's basically the same thing that happens if I just turn to here. And then when I step up, then this side and this side are moving together, and I'm on this left-sided movement. So this could be the movement in the beginning of the form. It could be the movement from the diagonal flying. So your body gets kind of familiar with those transitions, and they're in here. But then when you want to have it happen, when you're learning, you kind of teach your body by programming it in there. But then it becomes sort of a mind-body relation, the intent of motion. So once the intent says do this, your body responds based on what it's picked up on. So that becomes just a reaction. So intent creates a thought process, and then that intent triggers something in the body, which is really the energy pathways into the movement that will happen, and then you get the final result of what's supposed to be the essence of that motion. So if I think I'm going to do that, then it's before it even, his process is already doing it, because it becomes a response that's innate. It becomes part of you. So everything that we do ends up like that. Whatever your mind says to do it, it just happens. Yeah.
I just couldn't get that straight. It's like, where am I in space?
Yeah.
Now it's natural.
Yeah. Well, because while we think that we're moving around in space, really only this is the piece of the pie that you're actually working with. So when you're working, it's a relative position. So if we took ourselves out of the space and we were just moving around, wherever you end up is where that a movement happen, depending on what you want to happen. Like a part the horse's mane, it could be here. When I get to here, I'm doing a left side brush knee. If I turn to here, I maybe do a fist under elbow. So it doesn't matter where those happen, it's relative to you. So if I start the form, it's programmed into here, and I know I'm going this way, you don't need the room to tell you that that's where it's happening. You just need it in your body to know that this is the next movement. And then when I go to single whip, there's your movement. If I'm in Jade Lady Work Shuttle here, there's your movement. It's the same basic pattern, and you just have to identify it. But if we try to think of it as all separate units, then you can't remember all of these different units, and string them together. So all we have to do is know kind of the order, and eventually it just happens. So when we talk about forward, backward, right, left, center, that's direction. So every action that we have has a forward, back, right, left, center. And we don't always look at it like that. So say brush knee. If we just try brush knee looking in the mirror, we're in the backward position. That faces front. This goes forward. This goes to the right. This goes up and down. And it obliquely goes down because you're dropping and relaxing this elbow. So my elbow goes down, it's actually coming in. And what direction is it going? It's going from the front to the back and up and down. When I turn like this, it goes from left or right to left. And then we go from back to front. And then we reverse. But when we reverse, the hand comes back, the elbow goes down, this hand goes up, and we repeat. So every component of your body is doing a right, left, center at some point, and phasing those movements in and then getting the movements to be compatible is how you start to integrate your body. But we don't see all of these dimensional changes when we're doing it because it's too much to track. So what you do is when you watch and you learn, you mimic. But then after the stage of mimicking, from copying and creating these visual images in the mind, then you start to do the motion. But you have to bring in something else. You have to bring in a concept, a principle that regulates those motions so that it's not just random. So then you start to become more aware of what you're doing. The shape of the movement is the geometry of position. The hoop, the triangles, and the direction is either parallel or toward the center. It's just straight, the parallel lines. So once your body recognizes that and it starts to move, then you start to program and refine the movement by determining how much strength, how much speed, and you start to regulate and control your movement by manipulating your skeletal structure. So then it becomes less physical. It's always physical in the beginning until the movements become integrated and more sort of intrinsic. And you build these patterns, and there's your brush knee. Here's your fist on the elbow. I turn this way. I lower everything, and I start to turn. But I turn beyond center so I can turn back to the center line. So between that corner and that corner, I'm in this corner. I'm in this forward position. I'm in this corner position. I'm in this reversing and back position. And the compatible motion. So if I turn this way, my arms are going that way. When I turn this way, everything is working as a unit, and then it comes like this. And then we open and then reset the center, and then we start to round out for the repulse the monkey, you see. So all those, blending of those arcs and circles is really creating the compatible motion so you don't have conflict, because conflict is tension. But the thing is, this side is working with this leg. This side is working with this leg. So this side is working. That's on the same side, so that's really in phase. That as your brain is working this side. This side is actually the brain on this side, cross-referencing. And on this side, this hemisphere is working this. So when the hands move, I have this relationship, the right and the left, and this relationship, I have the left and the left. Okay? So most of us can do things in parallel. It's when we start to do this that you get confused, because that's a whole other set of cross-referencing a movement. So that cross-lateral or the contralateral relationships really become something that helps your brain to cross-reference. And that's a kind of coordination that most people don't really develop unless you do something that has that kind of thing in it. So when we do this, right, so it's opposite, so that's really kind of an anti-phase motion. If I do this, that's the same side, so when I do this, it's the opposite side. So you see how much has to be processed here to even get that to happen. Now that's just the arms and the legs, but your torso has to be connected through your vertical center line. That's your spine. So all of these parts that we're moving are actually something that we're controlling. So, we actually, it's pretty complicated stuff when it comes to learning like this. We just mimic movements. You just do it, but there's no true understanding. So when we're doing these things over time consistently, when it ends up in your subconscious, then you can start to evolve to know, well, the elbow is sinking here. Well, when the elbow sinks here, and this goes in, then that goes out. Meaning, when I go like this, the hand, that's going out that way. This is coming in this way. When I turn my hand this way and my elbow does this, then the shoulder's involved in a rotation. The elbow goes up, the hand goes down. So that relationship becomes mechanics, body mechanics. So when one goes down, the other goes up. Sometimes I use that analogy of the seesaw. So a seesaw, everything kind of pivots off points. So when you move and you connect, if you can get your joints to manipulate and pivot off points, then it becomes multidimensional. Because if you just do this, it's flat. It's a lot simpler to do that because all you do is get this group of muscles that does this. But it doesn't change. It doesn't have, there's no sensitivity in that because the body mechanics for this really is not as correct as moving it dimensionally from here to here. And that only happens because of this. And that happens. So your shoulder becomes a pivot point, and it becomes a rotary motion because it's creating this arc. Now when we do this, even though the hand goes to this position, it really can't make a complete circle without you modifying your position, right? So if I go like this, it can't go beyond that because my arm only does this. So we create this by moving slightly forward, but then this is still a little bit conflicting in the shoulder. So you could feel if the shoulder's tight, then you're going to feel the shoulder not wanting to go around. So to compensate for the conflict in that motion and the position, you turn. Then when you turn this way, the phase of that motion starts to become part of this action. So we recreate the motion because now the body is turning. And then we go up. Then we come around, and then we come down, and we rotate. So how does that work? It's because it's much more natural because you're never really doing anything other than this. Because when I go like this and I'm here, I'm here. If I go like this, I'm here. So when I drop, I'm in the position of dropping, and this hand can come like this. So both hands are actually doing this. So that's how your body has to adapt so that you don't have conflicting motions and your joint in the shoulder is actually not being stressed. Now if you're just doing it like this and not moving, then what happens is your muscles have to constantly relax and let go, relax and let go. But sometimes there's a mistiming, and then the shoulder gets tweaked. But if you do it with lots of strength or fast, then that's when the body's not picking that up, and then it doesn't move correctly. So that's what happens in sports. You throw a ball the wrong way because you're in the wrong position. You swing a tennis racket in the wrong position, you're going to hurt your shoulder. Playing volleyball, if you hit the ball wrong because you didn't turn your spine, you're going to hurt your shoulder. If you throw a baseball, you're going to hurt your shoulder because the joint is not really made to do that at that speed, and that's what happened. So what we're learning, and because Tai Chi is done slowly, we really learn to manipulate our skeleton, learn to use the correct strength. So all the training that we do is learning how to use our strength essentially. But we don't use strength. The irony is we're not supposed to use strength. Right? You're not supposed to use strength because in order to learn, you have to have no strength. You have to start from a zero position. To lift the arm, it just hangs here. Right now your arm is just hanging, and the only tension in this side is the tension required to hold that joint together. There's a certain tonus in your position to let your body know that if you release completely, then it's going to come apart. So there's something in your system that keeps that intact. There's actually kind of I don't know if you call it a disease or where your joints actually come apart. I think I mentioned that to you before. Yeah, I met this woman in Baltimore. She was driving a truck there, about picking people up, and so she had all these rings on her hands. So you would think it was like a jewelry thing, but she says, I have to wear these because if I don't wear them, my joints fall apart. They separate because that mechanism in the brain that keeps it intact so that it stays together. So it can happen to all your joints. Well, for her, she has that problem. But the thing is, she does Tai Chi and she entered pushing hands. Even though her joints are susceptible to dislocating, she was able to do pushing hands with a partner. So it just shows you that the control that we take for granted sometimes, something that other people don't have. So the fact that it was more in her hands. Other joints probably could do it too, but mainly because maybe the connections to the hand was maybe not as good. I don't know. But it was just something I never saw that before. But people can control and disconnect their joints and put them back together. There's a kind of martial art training that does that. They disconnect their body and put it back together. Yeah. So let's go through you want to go through the short form again, or the long form? Yeah. Okay, so we'll go through the short form again. So we're totally connected right now. So when we're here, the footwork for cloud hands is really typically moving to the left. Now if we would go back the other way, and then went to single whip. Hold the ball and reverse. That's what happened when you went mirror image. So okay, yeah. So in single whip and cloud in short form, this hand comes down. So then turn your shoulders because you create the corner position. And then when you start to drop and go up and down, you shift your weight. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2. So there is, once your hands are moving, and we say something happens above, something happens below, once the hand is turning, then your legs will actually respond by moving like this, you see. So you're creating that motion, and then you're creating that motion. That's moving right to left and left to right. So then I move from left to right, and I move from this side, right to left. And you're moving out, and I'm turning, but you have some leg maneuvering there where then every movement is actually a direction of force. No matter how little or how much it is, it's a direction of force. So the fact that I'm here and I shift, my leg is moving this way and then this way, and then this actually, while we look at the feet pivoting or the foot pivoting, your thigh is actually moving. So the thigh is moving this way, and then my thigh and knee is turning this way. So every part of your body is actually being maneuvered and manipulated, and they're creating directions of forces. So you say, well, why would I want to direct the force in this direction? It's because that's leg work, and it also ties into weight going into this forward leg. Once I'm here, this actually is together with this. Now I'm here. Now I sink and relax. Open. Open. Close. Open. Open. Close and open. So that relationship is a constant. See? So you say, well, everything is expanding and contracting over. So whereas the leg work is closing here as a pivot, it's also closing here. So if my legs are like this, and they end up like this, there's a closing. One leg moved to the other one. There's a closing motion. When I pivot to here, there's a closing. Then it opens. When the legs open, my hands separate. And this becomes the same compatibility. That's that. And then this. When this goes down, That's like that. So that's the stuff that I was talking about earlier, in phase, anti-phase, the two sides working as the two hemispheres are building that relationship as a cross-reference. So it's very accurate as far as what would happen in timing. Because once the timing is created, then the movement becomes synchronized and the coordination is built. So the body intelligence that we talk about is that. So that's why it gets to be very complicated, and you can't see it in detail because the body it hasn't had that experience, so it doesn't know what it's seeing. On a visual, it's really what you perceive is not exactly what you actually can see. So. The cloud here. Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, so we just move. Just like in the modern forms, we just move. We just move and just keep going. So you build the cycle and the relationship between one side and the other. That's with the pivot. If you just step like in the Yang style, they don't pivot, they just step. But there's a touch and shift, touch and shift, touch and shift. That toe-heel relationship and the balance between this motion and this motion, right? This position and this position. So what you have there essentially is two pillar positions, right? A left side to here, and I'm only on one leg, right? My right side to here, I'm only on one leg. Okay, so that allows you to have control of center of mass. But then to really control center of mass, when I move to here, that's my opposite. This is the same. This one and this one is in phase. Right? So I come to this position, then I switch. When I switch, this goes down and this leg becomes the weighted one, and then you're like this. When I'm like this to step, my hands have to do this, right? Because between here and there is the counterbalancing action, right? So because I'm here and I'm here, I'm here and I'm here. So doing that exercise, you wouldn't realize that that's what you're actually doing, right? So you see how the exercises that we do are actually already building the mechanism for programming those movements in your body. So when I move to here and I move to here, that's your interim position. That's your central equilibrium, the balance point between this and this. But then you have to touch. So when you touch, you maintain this. And then your hips will bring you across. And there's where the opening and closing of the hip comes in. And then when you shift again by pushing off and straightening the leg, you're in this position. And then you become stable on this leg. When we pivot, that takes us to a balance point here. And we pivot, there's a balance point here. When we pivot and shift, and then shift and shift, pivot and turn, that controls the strength in the leg and also the change of direction. So that opening and closing is a training for the vertical spine position. And when we turn, this leg has to actually do this, and the knee actually will turn and adjust based on opening and closing in the hip. That's in the long. Yeah, so this, yeah, on the back leg, right? So when I open, then this is opening, and then it's closing. When I step to here, and this is here, I'm here. But then when I push this heel down, it's really because this is sinking. And then this, so this still is almost weightless because it's just free to move. So the hip just turned. Then I'm like this. Between here and here, you have a relationship between here and there. And then there. You see? So the dexterity of the hands transfers dexterity to the feet. So the dexterity of the feet is what really keeps us balanced and getting the messages up here. That feedback and that relationship between where your body is and how you control your musculature is that relationship. When I shift like this and I'm opening and closing, that relationship becomes this. And in our joints, we have all these senses. The only one you're probably really aware of is the pain sensor. Because if you're moving and it hits a point, then it hurts, then that's a signal. But your signaling is really knowing the joint angle position for muscle memory. And then when you trigger those points, then your body knows what to do next. So that's happening throughout your body. But we don't actually know that it's happening until I bring it up and you say, well, is that really happening? Yeah, but it does happen because, but it's not, that's sort of the physiology of what happens, but the actual training is really develop the feeling, and your sensory system starts to pick up on all of this. And you don't know when it's going to happen today, tomorrow, the next day. It happens when your body's ready through the experience, and you practice it enough. And then your body will become more sort of acclimated to those motions. Then you can start to relax in the movement, and you start to build your transitions where one moves, and then the patterns of movement start to be circles in space. Right? So when we're here and we close, and we go forward and back, and forward and around, then all of these motions start to tie together. So it appears to be one, but it's actually pieces. And that synchronization is only timing, but that timing is the phase. This and this and this. Now you see the body moving forward and backward, right, left, center. But meanwhile, we just see it as, just a bunch of movements. So for newer people, the first thing they come in when they do these movements is not understand. They copy the move, but not understand how much strength we use, right? So the typical action would be a lot of arm, a lot of leg, because we're doing the movement, but it's unregulated because we haven't figured it out yet. So then after a few sessions, everything starts to go, into more of a driven movement by the interaction with gravity. So the gravity, my grandmaster used to call it the universal energy, the universal force. It acts on your body. When you lift your arm, it's going to come down because of gravity. Gravity produces weight. Because your arm has a certain amount of weight, you have to regulate the descending of that motion by taking out the strength. Because if you don't take out the strength that's holding it out, then it's going to... So if you take it out too fast, it does this, free fall. You take it out slowly, then you regulate it, yeah. Because now you're allowing gravity to act on you, and your sensory systems feels that, yeah. So at the same time, the minute changes in the muscle contractions are allowing that to go up. So it's fighting gravity, actually. And then when it gets to a point, even though it's fighting gravity, your body's actually working. Then when you let go, the opposite happens and it starts to go down. And then when you do this throughout, the hour or hour and a half, you'll feel sensations in your body, and then your fingers will get more circulation, and your whole body will get that same experience. So circulation is stimulated and produced by movement, but gentle movement creates that subtle, orderly of movement, and then you can start to begin to feel, the capillaries and so forth, they start to expand. So your blood vessels have valves. Some of them are open, some of them are closed. When you start to move, then they start to open, and depending on the demand on your body. Yeah. So when you're here and you pivot, there is in the pivot you don't really rise. What's rising is your back. So if you lift your back, then you elongate the spine. When you drop and you sink, you're releasing your body so that your body starts to become. Your back is like a bow. It's a curved mechanism. So when you straighten it, you lift. When you release, it goes to a curved position. So the front of your body is the concave side. The back of your body, that's a convex, and the concave, convex, yeah. So this is the hollowing, and the lifting is the straightening. So between that action and your movement, when I said compatible with direction, when you lift, it's going up. When you drop, you're going down. And then that ties to your knees, because when I sink here, I create the structure. And this structure, when you're going down like this, actually lowers your center of mass, and it also strengthens your position. So on a physical level, you would be stronger like this than like this if you wanted to be stable in position. Because if you're like this and you're excessive, then you start to fall backwards. If you then like this, then you start to fall forward. So what you do is you want to sink, and it feels like your body's emptying, but the vertical line is still between here and your tailbone. So there's an imaginary line. So when we're here, you still have the vertical line. But because we're turning, and this is going down, now I have to empty the chest, and your breath sinks. So when it sinks to there, you lower your center of mass. So they call it sort of the energy. The breath sinks to this area called the dantian. It's called He, which is chi or ki in some of the Japanese systems. You're sinking your energy, which is the mechanics, your breath and your center of gravity to here. Then you turn. And you regulate that motion by doing that. So breath and movement is still happening all the time. So that's why on a consciousness level, in trying to think through the movement, the body has to breathe, it has to do all these other things. So we can't always get everything to happen simultaneously, because the body's distracted. Maybe you're thinking of your breath and the hand movements are forgotten. You're thinking of the breath and this hand and you forget your legs. You're thinking of this movement here, but then you forgot that you still have to sink your elbow. So that's, the practice where each one of the things I just mentioned has to enter subconscious before it starts to do it by itself. But when things happen and it's doing it by itself, then when we focus on the breath, we don't have to worry about what the hands are doing, because it's already going to do this. Then your breath becomes regulated. Okay, so we'll bow. Ready? Okay. Yeah. They just came in because their daughter said they should do it. They were going to try it.
Say that again. Came in.
They came in